You're listening to the Long Game Podcast. I'm your host, Sandra Scaiano. I didn't think it was possible for me to get any raspier, for my Jersey rasp to increase anymore. But here we are in midsummer with allergies, and I'm raspier and congested. So thanks for being with me this week. I'm going to go on, though. I'm going to continue. I've been thinking a lot lately about the concept of your why. Times of growth will do that to you, right? Growth times, tough times, life shifts, the need for change, these are all good times to reflect back on your why. Are you in alignment? Ask yourself that. Are you in alignment with your why? So your why is your purpose. It's the guide for all that you do. It reflects your core values, but it can also be anything, like any want or desire that drives you to do what you do. Your why can stem from way back in your past. One of my whys goes back to my childhood. Or your why can be very current and echo a goal that you're working to achieve. It's good to check in with your why every now and again. Things change, you grow, and what may have been a driving force at one point may have come to fruition or may not be as important as it once was. This week, we're talking your why. The long game is your why. You're listening to the Long Game Podcast with Sandra Scaiano. In a world where everyone is doing, it's easy to get lost in a sea of comparison, secret tricks, and promises of overnight success. The long game is my approach to business, the actual day in and day out philosophy that you have to show up, you have to do the work, and there's no quick fixes for long-term success. I'm a web designer, digital strategist, and energetic thinker, and I'm here to share the process and lessons I experience with my clients daily who are going through the same struggles of building a business as you are. We'll hear from successful entrepreneurs sharing their long game strategies, and I'm fun, so we're going to have a little fun along the way too. Thanks for being here. Let's get to today's episode. This summer, I'm exhaling. I'm changing up my pace. And my work right now is being more focused on my personal business goals. Definitely still have my clients I'm working with, but I've pulled back a little bit to just keep a few this summer so that I can work on some of my own things, right? As I put a lot of energy into bringing my course to life, I'm revisiting my why. It's important to know your why so that you stay in alignment with your goals. Knowing your why, it's clarity. It's support for the decisions that you make. And your why can keep you motivated when things get tough, tired, and tense, which at some point they always do, right? I love this quote by John Maxwell. Find your why and you'll find your way. So knowing your why really makes the process easier. It's the roadmap, the inner roadmap that guides you in the outer world. Once you know where you're going, just keep doing things that bring you there. To me, there's no such thing as not being able to find your why. Find your why is a term that we've all heard, right? Because your why is so malleable. What's important to you to live by right now? That's your why. You don't have to worry if it'll be your why tomorrow or always. I think thinking this way takes the pressure off. It's not about discovering the ultimate at this moment, the be all end all of whys of our existence. I think we tend to do those kind of things, put things, just magnify things, really. But your why is about identifying what's important to you right now. And just answer that question anyway. What's important to you right now? Your why, it doesn't have to be poetic. And really, your why is based in reality. So as I'm diving in far with work on my course, it's really been a process of self-discovery. There's so many stones to uncover in this creative process when you work on a big project like that. So I'm thinking about my communication. How you communicate depends on what you think and feel. And that goes back to your why. I'm thinking about my style, like how you express yourself. It can help, it can support, it can influence the people that you're working with, your students. And that goes back to your why. And I'm building out concrete components. How you do this can be very thoughtful. And that also goes back to your why. And so it's good to have a why for a certain goal or project that you're working on. I encourage everyone who is a course creator to go out and list out your whys as you embark on the course creation process. Because what you compose, it will assist you. It will remind you when you need it. And those whys, they're going to motivate you as well. Naming your why takes some inward looking at yourself. It takes some honesty, because the truest of happiness comes when you are living to fulfill what you really feel. Outside forces, they are not significant enough to fuel you and fill you on your journey of why. This is a total inside job. Knowing your why gives you the courage to overcome your fears. And that's super important when you're running a business. Fear can be anywhere. It really pops up in all different scenarios. And when you aren't living in alignment with yourself, sometimes it's just easier to roll with it. When that water gets muddied, than to turn it around. But being true to yourself, that takes courage. And having a list of whys that you resonate with, that you created as a reminder of what your truth is, that can help give you that courage. I talk with my clients about their why. I talk with every client about their why. It's something we discuss early on because it informs so much in the work that we do. And knowing their why, I'm able to be a support to their why, to their goals. And in these personal businesses that we're building, your why is a big factor, whether you know it at the start or not. Because once you've identified your why and written it out, physically put the ideas down on paper, you have a barometer for your business going forward. If these are my ideals, then how do my actions align? That's a question you get to ask and answer all the time. Knowing your why makes your decisions easy. What action or decision is going to put you more in alignment of living the way you have defined? We get to answer that all the time, right? So I thought I'd share my current whys with you. All right. So one is to be surrounded with creative people who are doing their life's work, to be a good partner to women in small business, to choose who I spend my time and energy with, to be able to take my kids where they need to go, whenever that is. See how they could really be anything? For people to express themselves, and also for me to express myself, to look at certain things in life, to enjoy and be inspired by, a bubble machine. There's a way to work and feel relaxed. I need to find that, to live in ease and to have time every day for a walk. These whys manifest themselves in so many different ways in my business. Do I take on that client? Am I keeping up with my own self-expression? Do I feel stressed? How that feeling of joy feels right now, right? Hang on to that. So I invite you to revisit your whys this week. Sit down and think about where you are and where you want to be, and write down all the ideas. Your why can be about family, business, your health, anything. And it can be a very specific feeling that you want to feel. So I'm going to drop this quote right here by Kim McMillan. When I loved myself enough, I began leaving whatever wasn't healthy. This meant people, jobs, my own beliefs and habits, anything that kept me small. My judgment called it disloyal. Now I see it as self-loving. So defining your whys is another form of self-love. It's a way to help you stay in alignment and reach your goals. So I really hope that you do make the time and write out your whys. I actually went and bought a new journal this week, and I haven't done that in a while. And I know I've been meaning to sit down and journal ideas. I usually do that digitally, but there is something about pen to paper and physically writing in a journal. So my whys are now housed in my new moleskin. So before we wrap up today, I want to give a little love to a couple of fellow podcasters. First one is a huge congratulations to the ADHD for Smart-Ass Women podcast by Tracy Asuka. She is celebrating 1 million downloads. Her podcast helps women with ADHD spy their unique intelligence and live to their full potential. She's just got an amazing way of researching and thinking about the brain and how that works. There's a lot of insights in there and some really great conversations and guests. So Tracy was a guest here on episode 20, where we spoke about niching down. And I just want to say, to follow up that idea, look at her now, sticking to her niche and thriving to 1 million downloads. So congrats, Tracy. We're over the moon for you. And I'm dropping a link in the show notes again so everyone can find her podcast. And I also want to celebrate someone who just launched a podcast. My dear friend Karen Foote has launched the Spiritual Seekers podcast, Stories of a Spiritual Healer. So Karen is a Reiki healer and an intuitive, and she has so many amazing stories. She's sharing them on a podcast to help other people and for you to validate your own spiritual journey. I've been privy to hearing these stories whenever we get together, and I'm just thrilled that she's sharing them wider now on her podcast. She's a real natural when she's talking about in her zone, right? There's also a link to Karen's podcast page, so you can go check them out. Check both of these people out. Check out all of our friends, share their ideas, share all the ideas we're talking about, and have your own conversations with these ideas. There is room for everyone at the table, so join in. All right, guys, I'll see you next week. Thanks for joining me today. You can access more info in the show notes at thelonggamepodcast.net. If today's show connected with you in some way, please share it with your friends or hop on iTunes and leave me a review. Until next time, keep playing the long game.